right. Where's my wife? Ken, you got my wife, Ken?
Our fun times together are backstage or right before
We get silly.
go on. We get kind of silly. Campaigning it together reminds us that this is about family.
We had your wife Michelle on the show, and she had mentioned that for about 10 years of the marriage, she really didn't like you.
Former First Lady Michelle Obama is addressing divorce rumors, explaining why she decided not to attend some high-profile events with her husband.
I was in a deep deficit with my wife, so I have been trying to dig myself out of that hole.
We all know the Obamas as America's perfect couple, the kind of love story that made us believe in forever. But what happens when happily ever after meets the brutal reality of power, politics, and the presidency? For the first time, Michelle Obama is pulling back the curtain on what their marriage really survived. The political pressure, the sacrifice, the life under the spotlight, and the moments she wasn't sure they'd make it. This isn't about gossip, it's about what it really takes to keep love alive when the whole world is watching. From divorce rumors to marriage struggles, this story changes everything we thought we knew about America's most iconic marriage. Former First Lady absence that sparked the fire. The Obamas are the presidential couple, the kind that seemed unshakable, unfazed by politics, scandal, or pressure. Which is why, when those whispers began to spread, they hit differently. And the reason? The fuel that kept this fire burning wasn't some leaked document or anonymous tipster. It was Michelle's absence. To understand just how loud the silence of her absence was, you first have to understand how loud her presence usually is. Michelle Obama doesn't just show up, she commands a room, shifts the atmosphere, and headlines news cycles by simply being there. So when she didn't appear alongside Barack Obama at key national events, moments where protocol, tradition, and unity often take center stage, it was impossible not to notice. It all came to a head on December last year at the funeral of former President Jimmy Carter. An event steeped in legacy, unity, and reverence, one that brought together political leaders from across generations. Barack Obama was there, alone. Michelle Obama, notably, was not. For a former First Lady known for her grace, her deep respect for tradition, and her unwavering presence at pivotal moments, her absence was more than just surprising. It felt deliberate, intentional, and it didn't go unnoticed. Then came the Trump's second inauguration, another moment of historical significance, another opportunity for former presidents and first ladies to present a united front even amid political differences. Barack Obama attended, again without Michelle. Two high-profile absences weeks apart, and with them the Whisper Network exploded. And this wasn't just a one-off. Political circles began to murmur, the press started to probe, and suddenly the conversation had shifted from "Where is Michelle?" to "Is the Obama marriage falling apart?" At first the theories felt outlandish, but the thing about public figures is that they live in snapshots. And when enough snapshots go missing, people start to fill in the blanks themselves. The media frenzy reached a peak with the suggestion that America's favorite marriage might be on the rocks. There wasn't any confirmation. No leaked divorce papers, no anonymous source claimed she had moved out, just silence. But sometimes silence is the loudest noise in the room. The traditional playbook of political couples is clear. Appearances matter. When George and Laura Bush show up hand in hand at public events, when the Clintons stand united at ceremonies despite their controversial past, the message is the same. We're still a team. So Michelle's decision to sit out not just a major event, but several broke that rhythm. In politics, breaking tradition usually signals a shift, a fracture, or something no longer being controllable. Theories evolved. Some believed the two were living separately. Others suggested they were staying together for the brand, for the legacy, for the millions in book deals and production contracts tied to their image as a unit. The truth? It didn't matter whether the stories were fact or fiction, the damage was already done. Michelle's absences had created a vacuum. And in the world of celebrity and politics, a vacuum doesn't stay empty for long. It gets filled with projections, doubts, and narratives crafted by those watching from the sidelines. And Michelle was not just a woman skipping formalities. She was a woman who had once redefined the role of First Lady, choosing not to play along, choosing distance. and perhaps choosing herself over the illusion of unity. But was it really about politics? Was she simply drawing a line after years of biting her tongue? Or had the partnership behind the power couple begun to unravel long before we started noticing? But just when the rumors were reaching a fever pitch, a podcast appearance changed everything. Michelle sat down, composed and candid, and delivered a message no one saw coming. But before we get to what she said and how it shifted the entire narrative, we have to look at what was brewing behind the scenes long before the headlines. The tension didn't start at the funeral or the inauguration. It began years ago inside the White House itself. What kind of toll did 8 years in the most powerful spotlight take on the Obamas' relationship? What cracks were forming even back then? To understand that, we need to go back to the place where the pressure was at its highest, where personal struggles were buried under public service, where marriage was stretched to its limits in ways few can imagine. Let's rewind to the White House years and uncover the early signs that the Obama marriage was not just iconic but deeply human and maybe even vulnerable. White House struggles exposed. Before we get to the absences, we have to talk about the presence. Because for 8 years, Michelle Obama was there, at speeches, state dinners, summits, and campaign trails. Always poised, always present. But being present doesn't always mean being okay. In fact, if you listen to Michelle's own words, she wasn't okay. She later admitted that during the White House years, there were moments she couldn't stand Barack. Yes, she said it, on record. The most beloved First Lady of our time said publicly that resentment, loneliness, and frustration had built up so deeply that she could barely be around her husband. She wasn't joking. She wasn't smiling when she said it. She was being honest. And that honesty cracked open a part of their marriage that had been hidden in plain sight. That behind the speeches, the elegance, the perfectly staged photos was a woman stretched thin. A mother raising 2 daughters under 24/7 surveillance. A first lady carrying the weight of global expectations. And a wife married to the leader of the free world who often wasn't there, physically, emotionally, or otherwise. Michelle described feeling lonely in her own house. Imagine that. Living in the most secure building in the world and feeling alone. And Barack, he's confessed it too. In his own words, after leaving office, he said, "I was in a deep deficit with my wife." That's not politician speak. That's a man acknowledging the damage that had been done. The emotional withdrawal, the constant demands of leadership left no room for partnership. Not really. Their marriage became one more thing to manage. And Michelle, who had once been the bigger star before Barack stepped into politics, had to dim her light so he could rise. That wasn't just hard, it was painful. She said it herself. For 10 years, a full decade, she felt unseen in her own relationship. 10 years of putting her own dreams on pause, of biting her tongue, of keeping it together for the kids, the staff, and the public. And the press applauded their bond the whole time. Every photo, every handhold, every coordinated outfit seen as proof of a perfect union. But behind closed doors, it was a slow erosion. Because being America's first couple doesn't just test your patience, it breaks your rhythm. Your time together becomes a calendar entry. Your intimacy becomes public property. And your arguments, you don't have time for them. So they were stored away, packed down. Until one day Michelle stopped hiding them. She started writing about them, talking about them, admitting that for a long time she wasn't sure they'd make it. And she wasn't exaggerating. According to insiders, the tension in their marriage peaked during the second term. Barack is exhausted and distracted, Michelle increasingly disengaged. The emotional gap between them had widened, and no amount of vacation photo ops could close it. Even after the White House years, when they were finally free, something had shifted. They weren't just rebuilding a marriage, they were reevaluating it. Michelle took solo trips, launched solo projects. Her podcast wasn't The Obamas, it was the Michelle Obama Podcast. Her memoir, a raw, deeply personal account that didn't shy away from the hard truths. She wasn't painting a picture of happily ever after, she was painting reality. And that reality was this. Being married to Barack Obama came with a cost, and she paid more than most people ever saw. So when we look at her absence from major events now, when we wonder why she skipped the funeral, the ceremonies, the speeches, it might not just be a sign of distancing from politics. It could be something else entirely. A sign that after years of sacrifice, she's finally stepping away from the image, the narrative, and maybe even the relationship itself. So now we ask, did 8 years in the White House bind them together? Or did it break something that's never fully healed? Whatever the answer is, the signs are beginning to show. The marriage that once inspired millions is now under a microscope. And this time, Michelle isn't running from that spotlight. She's just choosing when and how to show up. Because behind all the rumors, absences, and speculation, one thing is clear. This is no longer the same story it used to be. There was a twist in the story, a past affair. A name no one saw coming. Jennifer Aniston. What began as an offbeat Reddit theory exploded into something far louder. A wildfire rumor complete with shady tabloid headlines, psychic whisperings, and social media sleuths claiming to connect dots that didn't exist. It all started with a bizarre magazine headline in 2014, boldly suggesting that the former president and America's favorite sitcom star had been entangled in a secret affair behind Michelle's back. At first, no one paid attention. It seemed too outrageous, too clickbaity, too random to be real. But as with most internet conspiracies, it didn't stay quiet for long. Millions of curious users began spinning their own theories. By October, the gossip had reached such a fever pitch that she addressed it head-on during a guest spot on Jimmy Kimmel Live. Looking tired but firm, Aniston said, "That is absolutely untrue. There is no truth." While Aniston was denying it, Michelle was still absent. And the world noticed. Suddenly, even serious voices chimed in. Former View co-host Meghan McCain weighed in on her podcast, claiming that serious journalists were hearing whispers that the Obamas' marriage was unraveling. The rabbit hole went even deeper. A Substack writer alleged that Jennifer had confessed to the affair during a party through a psychic. Yes, really. That was the level this reached. Fiction wrapped in speculation, sprinkled with just enough real-world connections to make people doubt their own judgment. Because yes, Jennifer and Barack had crossed paths over the years. She donated to his 2007 campaign. They stood side by side in a 2015 PSA. She even appeared with Michelle on Ellen in 2018. But none of that pointed to anything more than overlapping fame. Still, the theory lived on. Because in a world where clicks matter more than facts, the idea of a secret affair between two American icons was just too juicy to ignore. And yet, through all the noise, neither Barack nor Michelle addressed the rumors directly. But when they finally did speak up, their words delivered a resounding shutdown to every whisper, every headline, and every viral thread. With just a few carefully chosen statements, they shattered the speculation so thoroughly it was like watching a house of cards collapse in slow motion. Michelle's dismissal of the rumors. In a deeply personal and unapologetically honest episode of the Work in Progress podcast with actress Sophia Bush, Michelle Obama addressed the rumors, not by name, but by cutting straight to the heart of them. No, she didn't mention the funeral, or the inauguration, or even Jennifer Aniston. And she didn't have to, because her words hit harder than any headline ever could. That's the thing that we as women, I think we struggle with, disappointing people, she said. And suddenly everything clicked into place. Michelle wasn't hiding, she wasn't avoiding, she was choosing. For once, she wasn't shaping her life around what others expected of her, not the media, not tradition, not even the ceremonial obligations of being an Obama. This couldn't be a grown woman just making a set of decisions for herself, right? She said, calling out the deeply ingrained idea that a woman's independence must mean something is wrong at home. But that's what society does to us. The rumors hadn't been just about a marriage, they'd been about control. The idea that Michelle was stepping away had to be a symptom, not a choice, that the only logical explanation for her missing a funeral was divorce, not peace. "I chose to do what was best for me," she said simply. "Not what I had to do, not what I thought other people wanted me to do." And that was the final word. The woman who once stood silently beside her husband on the most powerful stage in the world was now standing alone, not in defiance, but in balance. The Obamas celebrated their 32nd anniversary last October. Quietly. Together. They aren't breaking up. They're breaking free. from expectations, from outdated roles, from the need to prove anything to anyone. So no, this wasn't a scandal. This was a statement. Michelle Obama didn't walk away from her marriage. She just walked into herself. At the end of the day, Michelle Obama's story isn't really about politics or power. It's about choice. The choice to be honest about the struggle. The choice to put her marriage first, even when the world expected her to play a role. And most importantly, the choice to finally live life on her own terms. Because that's the thing about stepping out of the spotlight, you stop performing for cameras and start listening to yourself. Maybe that's the real lesson here. Love isn't about looking perfect to the world. It's about being real with each other even when it's hard. What do you think? Did Michelle handle this the right way? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want more honest conversations about the stories behind the headlines, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. See you in the next video.